Well, we all got what you call addiction, but you ain't never had a better high, I tell you what. Swaying on the sideline, swinging my hands. Some days I'll take you to the promised land. Said all you ever talk about is football. On the phone, in the car, at the job, at the bar. Yeah, all you ever talk about is football. You ain't never shut up. Yeah, you always in a hunt. All you ever talk about is football. On the phone, in the car, at the job, at the bar. Yeah, all you ever talk about is football. You ain't never shut up. Yeah, you always in a hunt. You always in a hunt. All you ever
It's the Eastside Fantasy Football Podcast. We're back. It's January 10th. The day, you may ask? Probably a Tuesday, if I get it out in time. Hey, we're back. It's the finale of the 2022-2023 season. You know what else today is, Joe?
It's the big award show.
That's right. The Eastys, as I'm naming them right
The
now.
Eastys. I love it. I was thinking about what we were going to name it.
Well, all the stars are here. I know I'm here. Nick Testodi, air host as usual. Joe Briner, another
I'm
co-host, fresh off his hot vacation.
Hell yeah.
And we got to recap the championship, and we also got to talk about the big awards that were voted on. I don't know the answers. Joe doesn't know the answers. They're going to be coming in from satellite once he announces them.
I definitely don't know them.
Yeah, but it's big time. We're just celebrating the season. We have a champion. Obviously, crazy week because if we would have brought this to you last week when we couldn't have, we wouldn't have had a champion yet, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So that, I mean, I don't mean to say anything was good, but kind of helped us.
Got the music in the back. All right, we'll be back to that, the award ceremony music.
But it kind of worked out just for how our championship ended up finishing, needing an extra week considering we were unable to record last week. So here we are. We got the championship figured out. I won't spoil it yet because I'm sure nobody in our league knows the champion. They're waiting to hear this episode to figure it out.
Yeah.
But
well, should we address real quick? Obviously the tough situation was 2 weeks ago, which affected a lot of fantasy championship games, was the Damar Hamlin thing. And as of today, we've heard he's been discharged from the hospital, so very happy for him. But with that being said, it did delay a couple championship things because of the entire game was not played.
Exactly.
So
it definitely changed a lot for other leagues. Luckily for our league, it was only one player on each team.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to track it pretty easily. We ended up using both of those players, letting them play their week 18 matchups and adding those scores in. But I know in a lot of other leagues and some of my other leagues as well, a lot of Bengals and Bills players were in the championship, and that got a little tricky. So
from personal experience, I was in 2 championships, both with that game being somewhat important. I trailed by around 40, 45, 48 points. I had Jamar Chase. We decided just to concede it. I was like, whatever, I'll take the loss. You know, it was a long shot for Jamar Chase to get 50. And then in the other league, I was leading by 50 points. And it was just us, the kickers against each other, Tyler Bass and McPherson. So we just called it a wash. So if you're wondering, I am a champion this year.
Nice. That makes one of us. I'm not this year. Tragic.
Well, neither of us are champions in this league. Should we get into that?
No, we do have a champion, though. Let's get into it.
Well, it was Derek Teitno, the number 2 seed, against Jackson Edelman, the man who hadn't lost in 15 weeks, give or take.
Yeah.
And do you have the score of what the final? Well, okay, we should preface this. Going into Monday Night Football, Jackson led by a little over 3 points, I believe.
Yep.
Do you have those exact numbers on you?
Going into Sunday, excuse me, this week, Jackson was up 96.7 to 93.5. So just under 4 fantasy points, Jackson was leading. Jackson subbed in his defender because that was an option. He plugged Derwin James in. He did have Logan Wilson, I believe his name was, from the Bengals. He plugged Derwin James in. Derek on the flip side was riding with Joe Mixon, his RB1 on the year. And I don't know if you're ready to get into it.
Yeah, why not?
The final score 113 or 111.3, excuse me, to 104.6. Derek Titano, the 2 seed, has done it. The first ever 2 seed to win a championship. Derek Titano is our fantasy football champion.
Congratulations, Derek Titano. Very tough for Jackson. Um,
So tough.
it's tough situation. There really wasn't a good situation to solve. There's a couple ways we thought about going about this. I said one of the things, by the way, was they just did a DFS lineup,
Yeah,
but obviously
which I thought was cool, but at the same time, it's that's not their team. It's like
yeah,
it would have been hard to do anything that wasn't involving just their teams. At least I think.
yes,
So I
exactly.
think the way that we did it was probably the best possible outcome. I mean, they basically let their players play,
Yeah.
the ones that were able to.
Well,
So
we both picked Jackson. If we go back
yes,
and look at the scores here real quick, I had my analysis with I thought it wasn't going to be a big day from Fields. It was going to be mainly I thought Rodgers would keep him in it, and that was kind of the deal. Fields came out really strong with a lot. I think Fields had over 100 rushing yards. It's tough to talk about this because it's 2 weeks ago.
yeah,
But I think in the first quarter, Fields had over 100 rushing yards, but then a couple turnovers before the end of half. He ends up with just
yep.
17 points in the day. Rodgers countered with just under 17 with 16 and a half. And, that was a win for Jackson in that department.
Then
If
there's a
we,
lot of duds.
yeah, well, if we bounce down to the running backs, Josh Jacobs, 19 and a half against the tough San Francisco defense. He'll take that. Joe Mixon, obviously, we didn't get his scores from that week, so there's nothing there. And then Zach Moss was 7.4, not great, but Kamara only 9 points. Oh, that's gonna be interesting to see how Alvin Kamara
I know.
winds
What a
up
bad year for Alvin Kamara. It's
terrible.
crazy.
Now, this is where it gets crazy. In the wide receiver one position for both these guys, Tyler Lockett, who has been red hot the second half of the season, and Justin Jefferson, who was the guy all year, they both end up with 3.5 points.
The wide receiver won on the entire
Oh,
year, even after that dud. Just
terrible.
crazy.
And then to counter that with Jackson, this is where Jackson really got burnt in the championship game. His bread and butter all year, the wide receivers. Well, DK Metcalf comes out and gets him 1.3.
Yep.
That's 4.8 points from his wide receivers.
And you can definitely highlight Derrick Henry was not playing that week as well
No.
because they sat him out when they were playing Houston.
Very unfortunate. Chris Godwin put up 23. Chris Godwin, by the way, this year put up 100 catches for the first time in his career.
And he missed,
a
few weeks.
I know. And Tom Brady, I think, set the record for the most completions in a single season.
Yeah, and passing attempts as well, I believe.
Unbelievable. We bounced down to the tight end category. George Kittle and Travis Kelce kind of went, side by side. Kittle ended up outdoing him with the touchdown, but it was a close game for a lot of reasons here. There's a lot of these guys scored similar. Tyler Algier, which is a good flex play, 16 points, got into the end zone. Tyler Higbee, that is just a rough flex option there, but didn't end up killing him, 4.1. And then defense, 11 from Edwards from Philadelphia. Barton, the Seattle linebacker, also got 6. And then Rashad Evans, 4. And then
yeah,
it was Logan Wilson, but it would be end up
another number
out.
one player. He was the number one defender before that, I believe.
Sean Evans?
I think either one or two, and then another dud. But on the flip side, Derrick Henry was out for Jackson, already mentioned, and Tony Pollard also did not play for Derrick in Week 17. So it was honestly a strange championship. Not a lot of points scored. Final scores: a winner scoring 111 in the championship. Shocking, but neither team had a great day. But Derrick pulled it out. So congrats to Derrick again. Is our champion this year. Like you said, we both had Jackson. We predicted Jackson. It was hard to not pick Jackson, just the way his lineup was. Even without Derrick Henry, he's especially filling in with Tyler Algier was a good play there. It was hard to go against that, to be honest, and that was nothing against Derrick's team, but it was just crazy. I definitely feel the heartbreak. I'm happy for Derrick to get a championship. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely feel like I have secondhand heartbreak for Jackson because I know just running the table the entire year, and then
it went too well.
It did. It just went too well. And looking back on it now, you almost see that it makes sense, just how great everything was going for him. A few trades went his way, obviously big this year, ran the table, and then just the finals. I'm sorry, Jackson. I'm sure you're listening and you're thinking back on it right now. Brutal.
Well, That is the championship game. I was a winner in another league, so we'll just talk about that one more time. That's right.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
a champion. First ever
Derek is our
championship.
champion, though.
Yeah,
Good
well,
job, Derek. Good
not my
job.
champion. Anyways, real quick, we're gonna start getting into the awards, but
Hell
let's talk
yes.
about
I'm
all the
excited.
stars are here. Let me just
Let's
run
go.
down all the stars that will participate in this league this year and give them a little background. Well, maybe you know what? We'll try to get acceptance speeches. Try to get a little small videos afterwards. Get them up on the
Sweet.
Twitter.
Love it.
Out of Towson, Maryland, Nick Testoni, myself. I am here. I was a star. I did not do very well, but this was my 5th year in the league. Diego Grijalva out of Virginia, Leesburg, I might say. He participated in the league this year. Another original member.
He
5th year.
participated, yes.
He was the auto drafter, but congratulations to a 5th year, Diego Grijalva. Our champion out of, I guess you'd say he goes from Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood.
Derek Tightno is he an original member?
He is not an original member.
So his 4th year.
I don't think he was there for the first year,
I don't
was he
think
not?
he was either. But we could be totally wrong, and he could
Yep.
be. But it's
Could be.
congratulations, Derek Tightno, on a great year. Jackson Edelman out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, in his 5th year and his second, setting a record, his second runner-up. Jackson Edelman, thank you for participating.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride for Jax.
Absolutely. In his 4th year and his first year making the playoffs, so definitely a turnaround for the franchise. Out of Street, Maryland, Tyler Soup Campbell, thank you. Thank you for participating this year. A great year out of you. Andrew Atkins, in his 5th year, an original. He had another nice year, another playoff run. Did not capture a second championship, but thank you for playing this year. Hooked on a Thielen, Jake Wills, out of Frederick, Urbana, Maryland. 4th year player. Another playoff year. Hooked on a Thielen, was not to be, though. My co-host out of St. Mary's, Joseph Briner. Thank you. Thank you for playing this year. I guess you are a 5th year because we were co-manager.
Yeah, I'm a 4.5 year. One-time champion.
Out of Kentucky, Sam Smith.
Out of Kentucky.
Thank you for playing, Smitty. Did a lot for the league. A lot of probably the most guest appearances on the show. Did a couple edits for us. He was the stat man. Who could forget his stat man
the
run?
stat man.
Thank goodness. Sam Smith. Bryce Phobel, year number 5. And you know what? Not as bad as he usually does. Usually a tough run out of...
What a nice compliment.
Yeah, he's out of, I guess, Annapolis. I don't know. He bounces back and forth in my head.
It's called
Sure.
Annapolis.
Spano, out of Annapolis. Will Spano, thank you. Your 5th year. Boy.
He's like a flounder.
Tough times. And finally, the commissioner. Maybe the only reason I did this segment right here. The commissioner, Andy Collins. Oh, and the fans are letting him have it.
They're letting him have it.
Oh, boy. This is brutal.
He is a 2-time champion.
And well, thank you, Andy Collins, the originator of this league. Out of, I guess he's a St. Mary's resident these days.
He is a St. Mary's resident these days. I don't know if you can hear me over these boos. The crowd's really letting him have it.
Oh, God. It's getting ugly. They're throwing stuff. All right. Well, thank you for all the participants in the league this year. Another great year. And now let's get back into the awards.
Let's do it.
Joseph, should I run down the not the nominees, but the categories?
Please do.
First up, the best draft pick of the year.
We have our nominees here for the best draft pick of the 2022 fantasy football season. We have, drafted by Soup, Jalen Hurts in the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
Drafted by your co-host, Joey Briner, Ramondre Stevenson in the 9th round. Drafted by our runner-up, Jackson Edelman, Justin Jefferson in the 1st round, 7th overall. And drafted by Soup, another player on this list, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, drafted in the 6th round. Those are our 4 nominees. And with a runaway victory in the 7th round, Jalen Hurts. Shout out Soup, the best draft pick of the year.
Way to go, Soup. Yeah.
Congrats, Soup. You have won the best draft pick of the year with Jalen Hurts drafted in the 7th round. 2 picks before me, might I add. Congratulations. Your Easty is in the mail.
Hey, it was a tough year for Soup.
It was.
Not really, because he made the playoffs, but he really made it
up
seem
and
a little
down year
dramatic.
for Soup.
But
Up and
how
down
about
year for
that?
Soup.
He's got the first ever Easty.
Yeah, you do. Congrats to Soup. The first ever Easty is going your way for the best draft pick of the year.
All right, our next segment. Up to the podium to present it again, Joseph Briner, the worst draft pick of the year.
The worst draft pick of the 2022 season. We have our nominees. Jonathan Taylor in the 1st round, drafted by Andy Collins. Russell Wilson, 2 picks after Jalen Hurts in the 7th round. Najee Harris, a 1st round draft pick. Cam Akers, a 3rd round draft pick. Shockingly, Kyle Pitts, Stinky Pitts, a 2nd round draft pick. And the vote is in. Another runaway victory. Jonathan Taylor in the 1st round, drafted by our commissioner, Andy Collins. Congratulations, the worst draft pick of the year, let alone the number 1 overall pick. You hate to see the 1-1 be the worst draft pick of the year. Was it performance only? No, it wasn't. But that's how it goes in fantasy football. Sometimes there's injuries. So shout out Andy. Congrats. Your Easty is in the war. Oh my God. Let me try that again.
Oh boy. Fans are coming down as Andy comes in.
They may be coming after me too.
No, you're fine. It's tough to perform when Andy's on stage here.
Your Easty is in the mail, Andy. That's what I meant to say. The crowd is going wild for you winning an award. They really hate you, but
oh boy.
Golly.
All right, there he goes. He's back behind the curtain. Thank
Worst
God.
draft pick of the year, Jonathan Taylor, Andy Collins.
All right. You know what that means? We're into our next category. The next up, the worst or best trade of the year.
Worst or best trade of the year. The best is in there because if you're on the other side, it turned out to be a great trade for you. But
absolutely,
we are categorizing this as the worst trade of the year. We have our nominees. Joe Burrow, straight up for Michael Gallup. That was Diego had Joe Burrow, traded him to Testoni, who had Michael Gallup. On the next one, DJ Moore, who was on Jackson's roster, he traded DJ Moore to Atkins for Josh Jacobs. At the time, it wasn't that crazy, but it turned into a smash. The next one, Jackson traded for Derrick Henry, George Kittle. And George Kittle got those from Bryce. And what did he give up? Just Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
No.
Mark Andrews, okay, yes. And Alexander Madison. Next one here, this one I'm involved in. Gerald Everett and Isaiah Pacheco. I traded away for Tyler Higbee. Let it be known that Matthew Stafford died moments after this trade happened. Coming in last here, not last, but last on the order here, Daniel Carlson for Greg Joseph, the old kicker trade. I slapped that one in there just because it gave me a good laugh.
The yearly kicker trade.
Oh, yeah. Hope we do it next year. The votes are in. With 44.4% of the votes, Derrick Henry and George Kittle for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Mark Andrews, and Alexander Madison. Bang!
And it's unbelievable.
What a trade. I guess you could say Jackson wins the best, Bryce Vogel wins the worst. You both will get an Easty in the mail coming your way.
We'll split that one right down the middle, and you guys can both have a half of it.
Yep, exactly. So great trade for Jackson there. It was pivotal. Very pivotal
trade. Really 2 of Jackson's pivotal trades that sent his team into just a force down the entire stretch. It's a shame it couldn't end we all wanted to end, the storybook ending.
44, just about half the votes went for the Derrick Henry trade, and then Joe Burrow, Michael Gallup, and DJ Moore, Josh Jacobs tied at 22% of the votes there. And then one little measly vote for Gerald Everett and Isaiah Pacheco for Tyler Higbee.
Well, so I didn't win a lot of things this year, but I'm hoping I can take home an Easty. I'll try to get back on the roll here. Let's go to the next one. The best waiver ad of the year.
The best waiver ad of the year. This was a guy that came right off the waiver wire, went onto your team, and played a huge role. We have our 3 nominees. Garrett Wilson, picked off waivers by Sam Smith. Also could have been talked about for the best draft pick, but considering he was dropped, I did not put him on there. Garrett Wilson, Sam Smith picked him up. Next on this list, Kenneth Walker III. He was dropped the week before Rashad Penny got hurt.
Died.
And I did indeed add him. Justin Fields, the last nominee. He was picked up by Derek, who went on a run of a lifetime at the quarterback position. Justin Fields, our third and final nominee of the best waiver ad of the year.
Well, you know, I was just going to say, my bet right now is on Justin Fields. I mean, it completely took Derek's guy, Tom Brady, out of the equation.
You're right. Tom Brady was gone, actually, when he added. But nonetheless, the votes are in. With 55.6% of the votes, Justin Fields, added by Derek Titano, as won the best waiver ad of the year.
I knew it. I knew it.
You called it. Congrats, Derek. Picking up Justin Fields. I remember talking about this with you. You didn't even, I don't even know. I think he did use a waiver claim on him, actually. It wasn't just an ad. He was worried that people were going to be going after him. He got him. It paid off. And he is a champion partially because of it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that was a big reason he got to the place he did.
For sure.
And he was in the starting lineup. He's a champion. He's going to have a ring. Let's get back into the awards. Next one. A controversial one at that. The co-manager of the year. We might as well rename this the Eastside Arc Boys Award because we were the original co-managers.
You're right. That's a good idea. By the way, Derek, your Easty is in the mail.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And the co-manager of the year with our 4 nominees that have just given so much great fantasy advice for their manager. They worked hard this entire year to work with their managers to get to where they were today. Our nominees: Brian Brooks, co-manager of Jackson Edelman; Sam James, co-manager of Soup and Sammy's; Connor with a Q, that is Qoner Corsi, Connor Corsi. He is co-manager with Will Spano; and Lur coming in here. He was co-manager to the champion, Derek Titano. You can't say anything about it. He is a champion.
I just got to say, I have a lot of respect for Sam James coming out of retirement, dusting off the boots and coming back out and getting out there. It just
made sense that Joe Mixon went off for like 18 touchdowns against them because it was Sam James and Soup on the same team.
Sam James with a tear in his eye came out of retirement, couldn't hack it in the old
just for
farm.
Joe Mixon to kill him.
Couldn't take up golf or some of that small town stuff. He needs to be back in the game, and he helped Sub a lot this year. So why don't we just are the votes in? Let's go.
The votes are in. The co-manager of the year worked so hard to get this award, Sam James.
Oh, and I knew it.
Oh my goodness. They're booing him. Oh, Excelsior.
Oh my God.
They're booing him. That's right.
Jackass.
What a jackass.
Oh, brother, it's loud. But
that was equal to the commissioner, Sam James. Bad blood.
Well, those Virginia guys, they get nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Unbelievable though.
Sam James, your Easty is in the mail. Congratulations for all the hard work you did this year.
Coming out of retirement, congrats, Sam James. I don't agree with the crowd, but great job, Sam. I'm really pulling for you. Oh, we're back into it. How about the luckiest manager of the year?
Our luckiest manager of the year. This was, I believe, the closest voting we had.
Oh.
Out of any of our awards. We have our nominees. Your co-host, Joey Briner. I put myself on there because I didn't have that many points against either. That's been a topic talked about a lot. Will Spano is our next nominee. He's on this list because he was quite lucky down the stretch to not be in the toilet bowl fighting for last place. Derek Titano makes this list. He is our champion. He has made this list because of all the talk about his points against this year. And lastly, our auto drafter, Diego Grijalva. I mean, auto drafting. Does it get any luckier than that? That's all I got to say.
Very, very controversial at the time.
The votes are in.
Oh boy. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
With the closest voting of the year between Diego and Derek. Derek is our luckiest fantasy manager of the year.
The champion.
My goodness. The champion has been voted as the luckiest manager this season.
He's taking home all the awards. He's the champion. He's got a couple of Eastys in his back pocket.
Golly, he's got it all. He's got all the hardware.
God.
Your second Easty is in the mail for the luckiest manager of the year, Derek Tightno.
Thank goodness. Whoa, and the music comes back in.
And we're back.
Sorry. Hey, we got a good one up next.
Yep.
The unluckiest manager of the year.
The unluckiest manager of the year. This guy dealt with a lot. All of these guys dealt with a lot in different fashions. So I'll break it down a little bit. Soup, he's just unlucky. Let's just be honest. Soup is unlucky. Faced a lot of heavy hitters this year while putting up good numbers himself. Our next man on this list, Andy Collins, dealt with a lot of injuries. His first 3 draft picks were all injured or stunk. Next on this list, I put myself on here just because of my massive injury end of the season, right before the playoff run. Exactly. I hope that was known. I wasn't just trying to throw my name on here. That's kind of why I put my name on here.
Stuff in the ballot for your Easty. Huh?
I'm trying to get one. My co-host Nick Testoni, another nominee for your start of the season as you were injury riddled left and right. And Jackson Edelman, I threw him on simply for the championship because he was definitely unlucky with a lot of duds going in there at the end. Another tight vote coming in here, but the votes are in.
Oh boy, here we go. Who could it be?
With 44.4% of the votes, my co-host Nick Testoni.
Yes, I did it. Yes.
Congratulations, the unluckiest manager of the year. It was a tight race. You did it. Congratulations.
Well,
your Easty is in the mail. It was a tight race between you and Andy.
Yes.
Andy
I can't believe I won an
one
Easty.
less vote than you, I believe. It was a very tight race.
Well, I'm sure he cheated to make it that close anyways. If I just have a few seconds to say some words.
Oh, of course.
I'm choked up a little bit. This is a lot. Good times
Take your time.
are in the future. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. We're coming back next year in our villain arc. We're gonna win it all. Let's go.
Congratulations, the unluckiest manager of the year, my co-host Nick Testoni.
That's a big one to be. You got to be proud of that. Should we get back into it? Just a couple more awards left. The next one. The best manager of the year.
This one, the best manager of the year, was another dogfight. Between 2 of the 4 nominees really took in all of the votes. Our nominees for the best manager of the year, Jackson Edelman. Made some pivotal trades throughout the year, really worked hard. Built a great roster. Fell just short. Our next nominee, Derek Tightno, the champion. Can he be the best manager of the year for being champion? Question mark?
Certainly not, I'd say.
Soup, our next nominee. Soup fought hard. Really just fought hard all year. Up and down year. Some injuries, some crazy losses, some crazy wins. Soup makes the next man on this list here with a good draft by Soup as well. Next, we have Atkins. He's just a guy that makes the playoffs pretty frequently, just gets it done. I did choose the top 4 in the final standings for this award, and the votes are in.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
With a dogfight between Jackson and Soup getting all the votes, Jackson Edelman, our manager of the year. Congratulations.
Congratulations. You know, if you can't take home the championship, I'd say the next best thing to take home is the best manager of the year, Easty.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely the number 2. You were the runner-up this year. You were the bridesmaid, but you were voted on from your peers as the best manager of the year. So congratulations to you.
Oh boy, just a couple awards, 2 left. Next up, I think we've all been waiting for this one. Probably the most fun one. The worst manager of the year.
The worst manager of the year. This was another kind of a runaway. Only 2 of the 3 nominees got votes. Our 3 nominees for the worst manager of the year. Andy Collins, the commissioner. Maybe for his drafting ability. Maybe your players shouldn't get hurt. People are saying. The next one, Diego, the auto drafter. Could he be the worst fantasy manager of the year for doing little to nothing throughout the entire season? And our last nominee, Will Spano. Did he do a lot of crazy things that made a lot of people unhappy throughout the year? Sure he did. Did he fight hard till the end? Yeah, I guess you could say so. But he was nominated as the worst fantasy manager of the year, and the votes are in.
Oh my. This is big.
Only 2 players got votes. And the winner, the worst fantasy manager of the year, Will Spano. Congratulations.
Oh man.
The worst fantasy manager of the year was not the auto drafter. Was not the player that did nothing all year. It was Spano, voted on by the peers.
Spano, for you and Yummy, your Easty is in the mail.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations. That was a big one.
Oh, there's only one award left, Joe.
Yep.
And it's the most prestigious one.
It is. The
MVSCAPOTY, otherwise known as the Most Valuable Sexy Cute Awesome Player of the Year Award. The nominees
are indeed the entire league. We have Andy Collins, Nick Testoni, Jackson Edelman, Derek Titano, Soup, Joey, Atkins, Sam Smith, Bryce, Spano, and Diego. This actually was the tightest, considering there were votes all over the spectrum. It went down to a blind vote in the group me, which I'm going to double check right now to know which message had more likes.
Oh boy.
There was one message that said like this message. There was one message that said or like this message. Or like this message wins with 2 hearts. We shall see what happens next. The most valuable, sexy, cute, awesome player of the year. Pause for dramatic effect. Soup, congratulations. Oh my
man,
goodness.
that is just what you thought.
Oh, of course,
That's
right?
takes it.
The most valuable, sexy, cute, awesome player of the year. Shout out, Soup. Another Easty is coming your way. Congratulations.
God, those 2 just cleaned up, huh?
Yeah, Derek, Jackson, and Soup, I think, all got 2 awards, I believe.
Well, Soup's got his co-manager getting one as well.
Yeah, that's true. Soup and Sammy's sweeping the board here at our first ever Easties.
Well, that's the award show. That's the season. We have another champion.
You blink and it's over.
Hey, it was a fun time, Joe. We had a great the inaugural season of the Eastside Fantasy Football Podcast.
Yeah, it was awesome. Oh yeah.
God. You know, watching football now, obviously with some of the stuff, but I don't know how you feel, but watching football without fantasy implications just doesn't feel the same.
No, it doesn't. It definitely doesn't. It's part of it is nice. You're just watching football, and then the other part of it is like, damn, I need something involved, you know. But it was a great year. Really enjoyed doing the podcast. I hope everybody listening in our league and others enjoyed it for the first year. Appreciate all the guys always tuning in, always sending some nice comments about what they liked, maybe stuff they didn't like. Appreciate everybody listening. And
thanks to everybody. We had a bunch of fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. And for the last time this season, I'm going to let you know we do indeed have a Twitter account.
Oh, we certainly do.
It is at EastsideFF, capital E and FF at the end. We also have Apple Podcasts and YouTube accounts. Testoni does a little bit of editing, fixes it up real nice, does our music, our soundboards, everything. Shout out Testoni for doing that all year long. I know it wasn't easy. And he posts these podcasts on Apple at Eastside Fantasy Football and at YouTube, also Eastside Fantasy Football. Shout out to everybody in the league, everybody not in the league listening. Really appreciate all the support this year.
Hey, it was an awesome time, Joe. And another quick shout out to Jeffrey James Parmigiani, my uncle. Every time you guys hear that song in the beginning and this outro song, he made it. Completely original song.
Yep, big time shout out to him.
Man, it's tough, emotional, but a great year. And hey, good luck to everybody in the non-fantasy season.
Yep. Congrats to all our Easty winners. They're in the mail, coming your way soon.
See you, boys.
We're out.